I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point. I mean, let's face it, there's cheaters in about every video game nowadays. But it just feels like Rainbow Six players have just accepted that cheaters are just part of the game. I, for one, will never stand down against cheaters and will do everything in my power to bring light on the things that console users have to deal with on the daily. Now, before you watch this video, I ask that you watch my original video. It will just give you a little insight on how big of a problem it actually is. In regards to that video, over 180 comments. That's crazy. I noticed a trend between those comments. It was one of three things. It was either people saying Ubisoft can't do anything about it, people outright asking for full mouse and keyboard support, and people just not really knowing how crossplay works. Crossplay has nothing to do with PC. Crossplay is between PlayStation consoles and Xbox consoles. Currently, at the time making this video, it is impossible to pair a console against a PC. And as an Xbox player, if I turned off crossplay, all it would do is remove PlayStation users from playing against me. It would have no effect on the people using third-party adapters on their Xbox. That's the problem I'm having. And no, I don't think adding full mouse and keyboard support would help at all. Zim users are still getting the benefits of reduced console recoil. I'd argue adding full support would make it even harder for you to detect who's really cheating or who's actually using a mouse and keyboard properly. So, on to the main point of the video. What can Ubisoft implement into their game to detect mouse and keyboard cheaters? Before I answer that, I want to show you all how consoles register inputs. For this example, I'm going to be using one of my emulators to give you a better visual representation. The control stick would be your left stick, which controls your player movements going forward, backwards, left, or right. The C stick, or the yellow stick, would be your right stick, which controls all of your aiming mechanics. But how does the computer know which direction I'm moving my stick? It assigns X and Y values to each stick. As you can see, if I don't touch the stick, my Y value is 0. When it is all the way forward, my Y value is equal to 1. And anywhere between that would be a decimal between 0 and 1. That's how it knows if you're holding the stick halfway forward or 3/4 of the way forward. Now, what if we switch to mouse and keyboard input? This emulator, you can use a mouse and keyboard in place of an actual controller, and you can see it actually mimics a lot of the movements of the controller. Everything looks pretty normal until we start moving with WASD, what would be the left stick. Ah, you see the difference there? I'm going to call this all or nothing. You're either Y = 0 or Y = 1. There is no gradual increase as if you were physically moving a stick forward. Now, I understand all these numbers can be pretty confusing, but let me show you actual examples of it in-game. First, take a look at the Xbox controller. The left stick can go anywhere within this 360-degree circle, but PC can only use these 8 directions. And that right there is how you would tell if somebody is using mouse and keyboard over controller inputs. If it's anything other than these 8 directions, you know their controller. If they're only locked to those 8 directions, they're mouse and keyboard. So here's what that looks like in-game. In this example, I'm OSA holding W and only going forward, or 0 degrees. And the same with going backwards, holding S, 0 degrees. And when I go to the right, I'm only holding the D key, going 90 degrees. The only way out of these directions is to hold both keys at the same time and go at a 45-degree angle. Of course, you're not really going to notice this in-game. You're not standing over top of them like I am. But the engine knows. It sees all the numbers that we don't see. And I just find it hard to believe that they can't just simply write code to detect whether or not you're within those parameters. Because unless you're on controller, you cannot break out of those 8 directions. Now, onto the forward motion of mouse and keyboard versus controller. Like before, controllers can move anywhere up and down they please to. For this example, I'm going to say point A is literally not moving left stick, and point B would be full sending it forward. In the example of my emulator, not moving at all would be Y = 0, and moving it all the way forward would be y equals 1. On a controller, that y input could be anything. Y equals 0.25, y equals 0.98, or y equals 1. PC, on the other hand, is either not hitting W or hitting W. Y equals 0 or y equals 1. There are no in-between values, as if you were using a controller. So I ask you this, why is it so impossible to detect whether there is movement between y equals 0 and y equals 1? All they have to do is look at the walk speed. If it's full sprint or full walk, their mouse and keyboard. If it's anything under that, their controller. Now, with all that being said, I want to say one thing. I don't know if that's how Zims work. I don't have one and I don't want one. Even if I was accurate, I get cheats evolve. They could add random values in there to throw off whatever anti-cheat Ubisoft might try and develop. But even if that does happen, Ubisoft needs a better reporting system. If I send you a video of somebody playing like this, there should be no doubt that they're cheating, and they should get immediately banned for it. Actually let me know that my reports are being read. If you take cheating as serious as you say you do, act like it. Because there's people out there proud that they cheat and aren't afraid to announce it because they know nothing will get done about it. But honestly, let me know in the comments what you all think, because I'm at a loss here. It seems like there's a million solutions to this problem, and Ubisoft claims it's impossible to solve.